this and go, oh, sustainability analysis, here you go. It's hard. So which element has the highest priority if you're building a new office building?
That's who you are.
Depends on who you are. Okay, so you're the developer. Which one of these do you think you care about the most? Economics, right? You want to make a buck. If you're the citizens, which one?
Probably social.
Social. Could be environment. Yeah.
Could be. Gonna be your job.
Okay, excellent. That's what I love. Says could be economic. If you're a citizen in that community and you might get a job, or that building might bring jobs, or you haven't had a new building in this community in 10 years and man, you could use that shot in the arm to, it's an impetus to other things. Excellent. That's what I want you to start thinking about. You know, the economic is developer profits or a place to work, or does the environmental piece come into play? It may or may not, depending on the site. Okay, let's talk about parks. What would be the highest priority for parks? And again, it depends on who you are. That's the same answer for all. Which element has the highest priority for?
Probably social. I would say social too.
Maybe social? Because it's being built for people.
To have equal access for everyone.
Equal Access, Americans with Disabilities Act. And it doesn't have to be to every piece of every site. Let's be clear about Americans with Disabilities Act. If you, in your system, have an accessible fishing pier, for example, you don't have to make every fishing pier in your whole system accessible.
You need one right of way.
You need one
One right of way.
right of
One
way.
accessible right of way.
That is right, right.
So you only need sidewalks on one side. Technically, you don't need them on both sides unless you need to access something from the other side.
Right, so she's saying you don't need sidewalks on both sides just to get that access. Exactly. Okay, so where are we going with this? Well, what if it's a biopreserve? Wow, then environmental should take charge, right? Or if it's a high visitation park, then maybe social takes over. Do the economics come into this? Parks are, I was going to say, are hugely controversial, but they're only controversial to the people who have to build them and maintain them. Because I worked for Fairfax County Park Authority, and the maintenance people would come in and go, don't build anything anymore. We can't maintain what we have. There's no more maintenance budget coming with this new building. It's not sustainable. So that's, you know, the economics of these things need to come into play more, frankly, than they do. Okay, a new school. Social. Why should I pay for schools? I don't have kids. You get that argument. Not usually with schools, but with other items that come up for bonds. You know, it's like, oh, we need a new off-ramp from the highway or something. I'll go, well, I don't go that way. Well, how would, you know, it's still going to benefit me. It's that broader perspective. So would schools be social? Mostly, probably. But it's good for people. Taxpayer funded? Education is going to change, I think, a lot in maybe the next 4 years, but certainly in the next 10 years. So what do we want that to look like to be sustainable? Well, to me, we would want to make the environment more of a priority. We have Prince George's County, we had one of the first green, I think it's platinum, green LEED certified elementary schools. Barack Obama Elementary School, what? Awesome. But they didn't really, what they could have done better, the school is great. The physical building and all of that is fantastic. The bigger picture, you know. Are there wetlands nearby that kids can visit? Is there a forest? Are there, you know, how do you make that connection in the curriculum? It's not there. So that's something that could have been done better. So I made up this little thing. Copyright CJ. That's a little C and a J in a circle, not just the C in the circle. CJ. It's called your Personal Sustainability Index. And I would like you to put these in your paper. Did I say it was mandatory? I might have. Assignment 1. Oh, I said and or your Personal Sustainability Index. I think this is really valuable because mine has changed over time. Might interest you. So it's which of these elements do you put first? Which one in your philosophy means more to you that you will sacrifice the others for? Always a good question. And this is what you need to, and let me just say this while I'm thinking of it. When you're writing your sustainability philosophy, it's a little harder to do in January. But if you can go somewhere where you can sit in nature for even just 5-10 minutes, do it. Take some notes. Go slow. What inspires you about being in nature? What is most important for you? Take some, me time. Don't just sit down on the computer and start banging something out. Really get the feel for where you want to go. And this is one way to certainly do it. So this is my PSI, as I like to call it.
What does that mean? 30% of what?
So out of all those 3 circles, it's kind of esoteric, but out of those 3 circles, if I'm making a decision or a purchase, or even just talking about an issue, I come at it 60% of the time, I'm leading with the environmental argument. Only 30% of the time do I lead with a social argument or think that's the most important thing. And I rarely think an economic argument is the best argument. So if you're trying to convince me of something, tell me the environmental benefits. Don't tell me the economic benefits. That's not going to work for me. But the reason I like this index is that you're going to start thinking, hopefully, after you've done your own, what's the PSI of the head of the board? What's the PSI of this citizen that I want, this customer that I want to get it, I want to sell them this green design, but I don't know that they're quite there yet. Are they going to buy the economic argument, the social argument? Are they going to buy the environmental argument? Which one of those is most important to the person I'm talking to? Remember when I said, I went to the planning board and I presented, this plan, and I'm like, oh, I got to get them to buy into it. How am I going to get them to support this? God, this is hard. Oh, that's very unusual. I went right to science, and I went right to the money, baby. We did this little study. I'm going to talk about it when we talk about ecosystem services. But we did this little study. You see how that tree has dollar bills? It has $100 bills on it. The graphics person put dollar bills on it the first time. I said, no, they have to be $100 bills. And they have to come out of the tree like money grows on trees, right? Because it does grow on trees. So we did this. I could talk more about this later, but this is an ecosystem economic services, ecosystem services study that basically said our tree and forest canopy in Prince George's County saves us $12.8 billion with a B every year in stormwater costs. Think about how an elected official hears that. $12.8 billion a year. If we didn't have the forest and tree canopy coverage that we have, we'd be spending $12.8 billion a year in stormwater costs, construction and maintenance. Whoa, back off, Jack. That's a lot of money. Now, I've presented to planning boards and stuff for 30 years that I worked in local government. I've never had them pay attention like they did when I presented this study, because I was talking about money. $21 million in averted costs for cleaner air. Because we have this forest canopy, we have cleaner air. How does that convert to dollars? Deferred healthcare costs, lower incidence of asthma, lower incidence of heart disease. They did a study in a community in Michigan that got devastated by the emerald ash borer, right? All these ash trees gone, their tree canopy percentage went way down, and they tracked the number of heart attacks, and they found a correlation. Less canopy coverage, higher temperatures, all of those things. So, I went into a situation where I knew their PSIs completely flipped from mine. So I don't go in going, the green infrastructure plan is so cool, and the bugs and bunnies, they're gonna love it, and this is the best thing ever. No, I talk about this green, the green they care about. So what I like about this PSI is that you have to start thinking about what the person you're trying to convince is thinking. And that's how you move the ball forward. I do a whole keynote speech called Moving the Ball Forward, Making Green the Standard. It's like alternative medicine. When is alternative medicine going to not be alternative medicine? Chinese have been doing acupuncture for 10,000 years. That's not alternative, that's medicine. So it's making green the standard is where we're going. Okay, I'll stop preaching on that. So you need to think about, which things do you think are most important? Okay, let's go ahead and do a quick break here, because I need to catch my breath. And I'm gonna go through the 6 principles today fairly quickly, but I'm also gonna do a review in the morning. I need to get through them quickly today so we can get to your watershed exercise. So I want you to do that today. So can we do like a quick 5 minutes, restroom, water, get back to it?